Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are out there having a great week, and you already know it's my favorite time of the month. It is the third Thursday. I have E-Sizzle in the building, and it's been a while since we've seen each other face to face, so I'm extra excited to just reconnect in a sense of catching up of how things are going. But Erica Singleton, Director of Communication for Professionals Beyond the Game, is in the studio for our Shine Bright Athlete Series. Hey, girlie, how are you?
Hey, Tracy, I'm fantastic.
And if you're not watching this Facebook Live, you too, make sure you go back. Erica has the bluish purple hair. She's rocking it.
Yeah, I went with the mermaid hair.
I love you.
Red is the cherry on top all the time, but I really decided to go with something different, and it works with the aesthetic right now. Like, I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it. I'm always feeling it. You're awesome. So how have you been? How are things going?
I've been well. Things have been busy. Like, I work with swimmers. I coach track and field. So, like, May was crazy. June, I thought I might, have some downtime. That didn't happen. So being busy all the time is kind of our regular, our go-to. And so being able to see you again in July, but also to talk, like, this is the time of year where a lot of people do schedule like their vacations and finding time for relaxation. But one of the things that I really wanted to look at is making sure, and when we talk about mental health and health overall, making sure that you're giving yourself that time all the time. Like, it doesn't just have to be in the summer.
Absolutely.
And so, I am excited about today's guest.
I am
And I'm
too.
excited about what we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. So, I think you just kind of nailed it and kind of rolled us right into that.
I do my best.
You always do. You just set it up and just rock and roll. But like when you're talking about needing to make sure we incorporate time into our space to take care of ourselves, not just when it's summertime or vacation time, but having ways and methods to relax our mind and our body. Our guest today is the expert in that. And so when we think about mind-body connections, we're going to talk to Amy Applegate, and we're going to talk about massages and mental health and how that improves our overall health and well-being. So we have with us today Amy Applegate. She's a licensed massage and bodywork therapist in North Carolina and the owner of Unoya Massage and Wellness in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she began her career as a massage therapist back in 2019. And she's worked with all ages, types of individuals, and levels of activity. This includes professional athletes and active individuals to more sedentary individuals who just need to decompress. It is her mission to deliver high-quality therapeutic massage sessions that make real and achievable results happen. She's a massage therapist who also strives to educate and set individual goals and designs each session for the client's best intentions and overall wellness. Amy, we are so happy to see you and have you on the show today.
Yes, thank you for letting me be a part of it.
No, thank you for joining us. As always, I have a little background on how I know Amy.
Yes.
Amy and I used to work in the aquatic world together, and part of the way that she fits into our athlete series is she is a former collegiate swimmer. And so one of the people, honestly, who understands like how your body can get to a point where, year-round swimmers are going at it all the time, starting at 5 a.m., like sometimes finishing at 10 p.m. So she understands how the body can get kind of, let's say, tight. Let's go with that word.
Love it. I love it. Amy, tell us a little more about yourself, just kind of how you got into the space. And I'm really curious about the name Unoya Massage and Wellness. As we get into more of your practice and what you do, you definitely have to explain to us what that means. But go a little deeper in terms of who you are and how you got here.
Yes, so I'm originally from North Carolina. I've grown up here my entire life. I started swimming very early on. I was introduced to swimming very early. My parents had me in the water around 2 or 3 years old. And one thing led into another. I joined a summer league swim team around age 5. And then from there, I started competing around age 10. And that's full-time year-round, so no breaks.
Yeah.
That was morning practices and evening practices. And I did that all the way through high school. And when I was on my senior year, I got a scholarship to swim at Catawba College.
Yes.
And that I swam there for 4 years as a collegiate athlete.
I mean, you weren't just a swimmer, like you were one of their very highly decorated swimmers.
Yes, I was a sprinter.
It's awesome.
And so from a personal point of view and someone who's been that athlete who is very dedicated to it, what does that do to your body over time?
Physically, it's a lot. Like I said, you're training either twice a day, and that's including weekends. And then meets are usually, especially at the competitive level, it's like usually a 3-day meet.
Mm-hmm.
So you usually would go in and you would swim your first race. Maybe you have 2 or 3 that day. And then if you made the top certain amount of heat, usually which was A, B, and C, then you would go back that evening and you would compete in that same race. So it's a lot, and it's a lot of mental visualizing too, having to pick back up and push yourself and know, hey, I can push myself harder than that. So yeah, that was, I mean, it's a lot, but I enjoyed pushing myself. I'm very competitive, and it was absolutely a blast.
So going from an athlete into a therapeutic space, kind of talk about like what I guess influenced you to make that decision.
Yes, so when I was in college, I studied exercise science, and I think a lot of that came from my background being an athlete. But I also think too, it had a lot to do with my parents. Both my parents are in the medical field. My mom is an occupational therapist, and my dad is a physical therapist. And then I have a bunch of nurses in my family as well. So I think it was kind of in my blood to help people. And I'm always a very nurturing, caring person. I want the best for people. So with my thought of using exercise science, I thought I would end up being a physical therapist. So graduating, I immediately started applying to physical therapy school. And then I was starting to get this feeling where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So I kind of took a step back and started looking around and started praying to God a lot of where I was supposed to go in this world. And massage came up, and I found this school in Charlotte called North Carolina School of Advanced Bodywork. And their intake on life is more of a clinical and medical design of body and mind and body. And I loved it. I went and toured a class, fell in love with it. The teachers are incredible. And that summer of 2018, I moved to Charlotte, and that fall I started massage school. And then I graduated in 2019 in February and immediately got licensed and started working for 2 companies. And they were kind of the same design as like more medical and more clinical based, seeing those kind of clients, as well as a mixture of people just want to come in and kind of relax. But I have a big goal with massage, and I worked for them for 3 years. But this past summer, I decided that it was time for me to kind of break away and start up my own business and create a wellness place in Charlotte. That is kind of the end goal. So broke away and started up my own business, and it launched in March of this year. And here we are in June, and I am so grateful. I have a great support system, and I have great family and friends and amazing clients that trust me. And I think it's going in the right direction that I want it to go in.
Fantastic.
It's awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. And if you're listening in the background, you hear those beautiful chimes and the wind blowing, you're setting the vibe. If you guys aren't watching it live, make sure you go back. Her background is very, very calming and comforting. And it's really cool how you kind of talk through your story of getting to where you are now and having to say, pivot a little bit. I don't know if this is what I want to do. And then connecting to a space where it sounds like you found something that really aligned with you. What is it about the clinical and medical model that attracted you? And then tell us a little bit more about kind of what Eunoia means. I love when you were kind of sharing with us before the show, kind of the meaning behind the business that you have now. But what drew you to that clinical medical component of the work that you're doing?
I think a lot of that had to do with being an athlete. I wish I knew about massage more when I was an athlete. I mean, I had a dad that was a physical therapist. So I got massage, but it was not like, come in, let's relax for 60 minutes or whatever.
Right.
It was more like, let's fix this real quick. So seeing that, and I've actually worked with a couple clients now that we have gone through a process where they don't have to have surgery anymore.
Wow.
Where before that was kind of their option, was like, okay, hey, your shoulder's messed up, let's have surgery. And that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that there's alternative ways to get better, and I think massage is amazing for that. And that kind of what sparked me in doing the medical stuff and doing more of the clinical based stuff, is it does make a change. And I think too, that's another thing I'm trying to educate to a lot of people, is massage is not just a luxurious thing. Is actually now becoming more of a health item. So which is great. So for my business, I want mind and body to be connected because it's a package. And a lot of stresses on people's bodies cause these pains and cause these imbalances. So when I was coming up for a business name, I wanted something to be kind of involved with that. So I came across this word called Eunoia. It's EUNOIA, massage and wellness. And it means pure and thinking beautifully. And I think we need more of that in life. I think this world is crazy right now. And having come into a place that's safe and that you know that you're going to leave feeling better, and to have that mind of thinking beautifully, like, I'm going to do something great today. So that's kind of how that got started.
It's beautiful.
That is fantastic. I wanted to ask, because Eunoia, I follow your Instagram page, and one of the things is I have a background as an athlete. I understand exactly what you're saying as well. Like, I had physical therapy massages before, but I did look at it from a weekly type of thing as a luxury that I really wasn't into. But what I love about the content that you're sharing is also someone who does not necessarily have an athlete's background, who is not always active, but like how helpful it can be for someone who is just in a sedentary job in a chair every day. Their hips are starting to get set a certain way. Their back is starting to hurt in a different way. Like, you talk about different ways that massage and stretching can help just everyday people.
Right. Exactly. It's not for one person. Massage is built for anybody. And that's something I try to do. I don't, I may have an athlete that comes in, an NFL athlete, he needs certain things a different way versus somebody that may be working 40 to 50 hours a week in a chair. They don't need the same type of therapy. So I try to design it individually, even though I may use some of the same techniques and tools. But it's the way I approach it, and the way the goal is, each person has a different goal in the end, and I try to succeed what they're looking for.
I love that, Amy. And you kind of spoke a little bit as you were kind of talking about just different modalities and ways, not just to kind of fix something, but overall health and well-being. Can you speak a little to that in terms of that mind-body connection? I love what Eunoia stands for, pure and thinking beautifully, because that mind-body connection is so real. And when we think about where stress kind of lies in our mind and our body, we really do have stress hormones in our body. And so for people wondering, you know what, well, yeah, massage, maybe if they are thinking about the luxurious type of benefit from a massage, or just saying, let me fix this now. But can you speak to how it really does, those long strokes, whether it's gentle or a little bit more pressure, are releasing stress hormones in our body, which is really overall great for our mental and physical health?
Right. So I'm just thinking, some people hold a lot of tension in their shoulders. So it first starts there, and then eventually it's going to creep up into your neck, and then now you've got headaches, and now you are developing TMJ. So it all kind of comes back to, where is that stress coming, and how can we stop that, and how can we make it better? So too, I like to educate as well, like, hey, kind of remember, like, if you're starting to feel stressed, let's take a deep breath. Breathing is one thing I do a lot in my massages. I always start with at least 3 deep breaths, and then I'll end the session with 3 deep breaths. Just kind of a good opener and a good ending. And I think with the long stroke, I'm a very like to lengthen out everything, strengthen everything, get blood flow. So the long strokes you can do so differently. You can, with an athlete, maybe you need to do a little bit harder pressure and shake them a little bit so you have more of that vibration. Whereas someone who maybe just needs to relax, you can, start very slow and gradually increase the pressure. That way it kind of gives their mind that time to like, okay, I don't really have to think about outside stuff right now. It's just me right here on this table. I can relax. Is kind of how I think about it.
Yeah.
It's big. And what would you say for people as they're kind of thinking, some people are touch me not, right? And so is there, when you kind of work with your clientele and people who have only kind of visualized massage as being something that they go get every now and then, but what I'm hearing from you is there are a lot of benefits to this. And so what if people are coming in and they're not so hands-on? Is there another way or approach they can also get benefit from this type of therapy?
Yes, I mean, you can do massage fully clothed. There's a style called Thai massage, and it is fully clothed. And you're physically just pressing on the person and you're stretching them. So if somebody, I have had a couple clients that don't want to get fully undressed under the sheet. So that's an option that I'll sometimes do with them. And then we kind of gradually, they get a little bit more comfortable. They know me a little bit better. And then also too, there's things that you can do at home. There's so much stuff I try to educate my clients on, like, hey, here's a lacrosse ball, use this. If you have plantar fasciitis, use this at home. And I mean, it helps. And then that way they're not feeling like maybe they don't want to come in and have someone touching them. But I think too, it's just kind of a gradually thing, especially working on someone that's never had a massage. They're very uncertain and don't know what to expect. So it's just kind of how I approach them. I'm a little bit more like, okay, now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to take this sheet and I'm going to fold it over your back, kind of guide them where I'm going. And then, by the third session, they're like, they've already know what I'm going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's big. And I think about for myself personally, as I'm getting older, that piece where you were talking about just whether it's just stretching and breathing and how important those things is, because our body, especially if we're not playing competitively in sport any longer, that stretching piece is huge. Being able to stretch and bend down without being sore the next day. I mean, so it's a big deal.
Flexibility doesn't stay forever without a little bit of work.
Exactly. Well, speak to it for yourself, Amy. How do you what does kind of mental fitness mean to you, and how are you kind of taking care of your mind and body these days? Do you go off and get your own personal massages often, or what does your self-care kind of look like?
Yeah, so I definitely try to get a massage at least once a month. I do a lot of self-massage. I stretch every day. I started 3 years. I kind of decided like, hey, I'm going to start making my mornings just for me. And that made a whole difference in my entire week. I'm a person that likes to have a plan and a schedule. So for having my mornings to myself, to get up, to work out, to stretch, throw laundry in the wash, to go run a couple errands, that gets my mind ready. And I feel 110% by the time I get in my car, I'm at work and I'm presenting myself to my clients. My brain is alert, my blood's flowing, I'm ready to work as hard as I can and listen to what they need me to do. So that's a bunch of stuff that I've found that's helped me kind of starts my day better. And then I feel like I'm being productive and I'm able to be more productive at work as well.
Yeah.
Is there a reason that you're kind of on a monthly schedule? Let's say if somebody's kind of looking into going in the massage route, and sometimes, especially if people haven't had a massage in a long time, maybe it's their first one, and that you feel sore after. It's kind of like working out for the first time in a long time. What do you recommend? Is it once a month, or does it depend on the person and your goals? And how do you kind of push through the initial pain, so to speak, if there is any, to get people to continue to come in and understand the benefits there?
Yeah, so it's very independent. Like, it's very individual. I'm never pushy about how, like, when you should come in and out. Excuse me. So, I mean, it kind of depends on the person. If somebody's living a stressful life and maybe we just need to see you every month or maybe every 2 weeks, it kind of just depends on that person and what you're going through. Now, if you're somebody that's having a lot of pain and you come in with I'm like, what's their level of pain, 1 through 10, 10 being the worst. And they're saying it's an 8. And then at the end of the session, I'm like, okay, well, what's your pain level now? Well, it's dropped to a 6. Okay, well, that something that we did made a difference. So why don't we try coming in every week for a month or 2 and see how that helps? And then we'll slowly kind of back off. Because it's better to attack what's happening now than keep delaying it, and then we keep going back to square one. So it's very individual and kind of what the person, financially wise, and how much they're willing to put in the time to get better.
Perfect. That makes complete sense. And when you think about, I like how you just said, it's being able to kind of listen and hear from your body standpoint, if you're somebody at a higher threshold in terms of your pain, and maybe coming in a little bit more often as necessary, but being open to the time that it might take, the time that you need to put in, and recognizing it's not a one-size-fits-all program. I think that's a big deal.
So, Amy, where can people find you? And is there anything you want to share in terms of special events or special activities your business is doing?
Yes, so you can find me at www.unoyamassagetherapy.org. I post, all my stuff is on there, my information, and how you can book that way. I do a lot of news and updates and stories about wellness on my Instagram page, which is unoya_massage_therapy. That I post a lot of like health stuff and kind of pictures of different things I'm doing with different clients. I think a visual is always nice to see. Like right now I'm doing packages. So for individuals that want to come in and make those changes, I'm doing a package special, which you can find on my website. And that ends in September. So you still have a couple months to do that, but it's something to definitely check out if you're in the Charlotte area.
Yeah.
That's great. And what quick tips would you give as people are listening, if they can't get down to your Charlotte office and they want to kind of begin the process of connecting mind and body? I loved, as you just talked about, the breath, breathing before the session, after the session, and doing some mid stretches. Is there anything that people can begin to do to really make that mind-body connection if they can't get in to see you right away? What would you recommend as a tip to begin to make that connection?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I use my Instagram for, is for those people, because I have a lot of family and friends that are like in Winston-Salem, and they don't always have the time to come see me. So I use my Instagram a lot to post stuff like that and reminders like, hey, did you drink some water today? Hey, yes. Did you take a breath today? But also to just kind of being more self-aware of what you're doing. Like maybe you realize that you've been sitting at the desk for 4 hours and you haven't got up to use the bathroom, or you haven't really like sat up straight, or you're starting to get that kind of that brain fog. Maybe just stand up, touch your toes, stretch up and touch the ceiling, take a couple of deep breaths, get your blood flowing. Those are just good things to do and kind of keep your body moving and staying out of those stagnant states.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you for sharing that with our crew. And as usual, he says, our time just kind of likes to fly here. We still got a minute to go. It just goes by way too quick, way too quick. Amy, we can't thank you enough for what you're doing. I think, as you were just talking about, I love seeing massage kind of start to transition more over into the health and wellness space, not something that you just show up to on vacation or when there's an injury. It's more about self-care. And making these things how stress really is in our bodies, and being able to exercise those or release those through our breath or through some body work is powerful. It's very powerful.
It is. It is. And no stagnation. I love that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to have to come check you out in Charlotte. You're right down the road, so I got to come check you out.
Come on. Love to have you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Community, make sure you take some time for yourself this week. If you have never thought about a massage and you're kind of curious, hop on her Instagram, start to get familiar with her there, educate yourself, but take care of yourself, your whole self, all right? I want my community to go out and shine bright like the stars that we are. Sizzle, I love you and I appreciate you for who you are.
You too,
we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy. Thank you for joining us today on Mental Fitness Matters. Tune in every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. for more tips, tools, strategies, and solutions that will help you reach your peak mental fitness. My name is Tracy Austin, and you've been listening to Mental Fitness Matters.